Today we'll be making beef and broccoli. Hi everyone! Today we are making beef and broccoli. Here are the ingredients we're going to need for our dish. First, we're going to be needing beef. You can use any cuts you want. I will be using flank steak on this. I'm going to be using about 3 pieces of large broccoli, 1 thumb of ginger minced, about 6 cloves of garlic minced, and we're going to garnish with some green onion at the end. For our marinade and sauce, we're going to be needing some baking soda, oyster sauce, light soy sauce, Shaoxing wine, cornstarch, pepper, and sugar. For our sauce, we're going to be using oyster sauce, dark soy sauce, light soy sauce, Shaoxing wine, water, pepper, cornstarch, and sugar. So here are a complete list of our ingredients. So first thing, we're going to prep our broccoli. What we're going to do is we're going to break them up into small individual florets. So what we're going to do is just pretty much chop off each florets, just like that. And then once you got them out, we're going to place them in a strainer or colander so we can rinse it off later. So just continue doing that for the rest of the broccoli. So just like that. So continue doing it for the rest. Also, rule of thumb when cooking, try to keep everything the same size so that they all cook evenly, or they all cook at the same time. So since some are a little small, this one's a little too big, just make sure you cut that in half. You know, try to keep everything close to the same size as possible. So that's pretty much it. We finished our broccoli. We're gonna rinse that off. So we're gonna rinse that off and set it aside. Now we're gonna work on our beef. All right, so for our beef, we are gonna be using flank steak for our dish. Again, it doesn't have to be flank steak. It can be any type of steak you want or you prefer. Most of the time, if you see me cooking, I'll probably be using chuck roast because I like the fat content on the chuck roast. So for this one, we got a flank steak here. Now, cutting a beef. Always make sure when you cut your beef, you cut against the grain so that your beef is not chewy. So first we're going to cut them into individual pieces. Make sure your knife is nice and sharp. Okay, so as you see, the grain is going that way. So when you cut it, make sure you're going the other way. And don't cut paper thin. Make sure it's like probably a 1/4 inch thick, around that size. So just about that thick. So we're gonna continue cutting the rest of the beef and we'll be back. So we finished cutting our beef. You can see they're not too thin. It's just enough for a serving size. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna be washing them over cold water. Properly, just mix them through to make sure all that impurities are like washed off and all that blood. Probably do this for about 3 sets of water. That's it. Turn off the water. And drain. Try to squeeze out the excess water. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to place it in a strainer to completely drain that. So we'll leave it there for now, let it drain while we make our marinade. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to be making our marinade. So in a small bowl, we're going to add in 1 teaspoon of baking soda. If you're asking what baking soda does, from what I learned, it helps tenderize the beef. So we're going to be adding a teaspoon of that. About a tablespoon of oyster sauce. A tablespoon of light soy sauce. A tablespoon of Shaoxing wine. A tablespoon of cornstarch. Some pepper. A teaspoon of sugar. And about 2 tablespoons of water. Now make sure to stir well. Mix it all together until nice and smooth. Now we got everything all mixed together. You can see it's nice and smooth. We're going to be adding this to the beef. Now as you see, we've been draining our beef. See, there's still some excess blood from it. Try to squeeze every single liquid out of it if you can. Then we're going to be placing that. Well, let's rinse this off real quick. Make sure to dry this and place the beef back in it. So after our bowl is nice and dry, place our beef back into the bowl. So you pretty much remove most of the liquid out of it. Next what we're going to do is we're going to add in our marinade. Alright, now we're going to be placing our marinade into our beef. Now make sure you mix everything together. So pretty much we're just mixing everything. Make sure every single beef absorbs all that marinade. So once you have everything all mixed up, we're going to be covering it with saran wrap and place it in the fridge and let it marinate for minimum at least an hour. So we're going to marinate for about 1 to 3 hours so the beef will absorb the flavor. Now while our beef is marinating in the fridge, we're going to make our sauce. So in a container, you can use a bowl or anything you want. I like putting in a measuring cup so that it has a nozzle and it's easy to pour in. I place my 1 teaspoon of sugar. We're going to add in 1 teaspoon of cornstarch. Half a teaspoon of pepper. A tablespoon of oyster sauce. A teaspoon of light soy sauce. A teaspoon of dark soy sauce. and a tablespoon of Shaoxing wine. Then we're going to add in about a tablespoon of water. Now we're going to mix everything together. So that's it. That's it. Our sauce is done. We're just going to cover it and set it aside. And for now, we're just going to wait for our beef to finish marinating. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to be blanching our broccoli. In a pot of boiling water, make sure to add in some salt to put some flavor in our broccoli, and also a little oil to give it a nice sheen on it. So make sure your water's boiling, then add in your broccoli. Now the cooking time will vary depending on your preference on the broccoli. If you want it soft, you can cook it long, but if you want it still a little crunchy, just quickly blanch it, no more than 2 to 5 minutes. But it's up to you, it's on how soft you want your broccoli. Since I have a daughter that likes the broccoli soft, I'm going to be cooking it for more than 5 minutes. So what we're going to do now, while we're waiting for that broccoli to soften, we're going to wash our strainer because we're going to strain the broccoli after that. Once you achieve the doneness you want on the broccoli, or the softness you want, you can turn off the heat and strain these. There you go, broccoli's done. If you're not cooking this right away, I suggest instead of draining it, you place it in an ice bath, which is a bowl full of ice, so that it will stop the cooking process. But since we're going to cook right now, there's no point in doing that. So next we're going to do is we're going to work on our beef. Right now our wok is set to high heat, and then we're going to start browning our beef. Okay, we're going to add in some oil to our hot wok. Then add in the beef. What we're going to do now is we're going to brown our beef. We're not going to entirely fully cook it yet, so we're just going to give it a nice brown, because we're still going to cook it and when we combine everything together later. So at this point, our beef should be good enough. So we're going to turn off our heat. Now we're going to set this aside. Now on the same wok, we set our heat to medium-high. Add some oil. We're going to start off by adding in our ginger. Then our garlic. Now you can add in the white parts of the green onion. And we're going to add in our broccoli. Make sure to stir everything around. Then we're going to add in our sauce. Make sure to toss everything around. Now let's add back in the beef and our green onions, the rest of our green onions. Stir everything around. Alright, this is pretty much done. What we're gonna add in last is a little drizzle of sesame oil for flavor. Give it one last toss, and our dish is done. Turn off the heat, and that's pretty much it. That's how simple this dish is. Here's our finished dish, beef and broccoli. Super simple to make. So I hope you enjoyed today's recipe. If you like this video, please like and leave a comment. I sure appreciate it. Until then, we'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.